primary ignition.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Life at Lightspeed podcast. My name is Colin, and today we are with a very special guest, a great friend of mine, a legend who, maybe or may not like the Ghostbusters a lot, but hey, he won't talk about it. But here he is, Ted, aka Steady. What's up, man?
What's going on, sir? Long time no talk, but glad to be on one of your live streams. This is a first for me, so this is uncharted territory that I'm in.
Yeah, no, we're for myself and Ted, Ted is just a remarkable human being, and I've learned a lot from him, and I've gotten more into the con game. Because of him, I went to San Diego Comic-Con, and I look up to Ted, and I know it sounds like I am sucking up to you, but I'm just letting you know I have learned a lot from you since we met. So yeah, no,
I appreciate that.
Yeah, man, it is great to have you on here. So before we get started, if you don't know, who we are sponsored by. It is the Virtual Cantina Network. They are an amazing group, and we actually have an announcement from the founder, Spencer, because there is a new thing that is, being created. It is from Scum and Villainy, the Cantina. I don't know if you've ever been to downtown LA, but they have a location there, but they're building a new one called Scum and Villainy Rendezvous Cantina. And this is a special announcement from Spencer. This is a quote for him. We are the VCN. We're honored to be asked to host the Friends and Family pre-sale for the Scum and Villainy crowdfunding for the new Rendezvous location, opening up in Burbank, California, near the Batman statue and AMC 16. Thank you to all who invested, as it's been an amazing turnaround. Please remember, besides the amazing perks given by Scum, by investing even at the lowest level, which is $100, you will have an opportunity to get free entry and open bar for one person at the VCN event at the Rendezvous during Celebration Week in 2027. Please note that tickets will be subject to availability. This is such a cool idea. I don't know, Ted, if you've seen like the actual launch announcement of it, but Kevin Smith is also involved in this, and he's very excited about it, which makes me very excited about it. So yeah, I am beyond excited for it, and it's crazy that Star Wars Celebration is 2 years away. So yeah.
It's a huge announcement. I've never been, but I've watched dozens and dozens of Kevin's podcast. It used to be Fat Man on Batman, and now I think it's Fat Man Beyond. And he hosted from the Scum and Villainy like a lot. I think he's still doing it when he gets a chance to. So I've always wanted to attend one of his podcast tapings at Scum and Villainy. It's still on my bucket list, but it's cool that they're opening up a second location and that they're doing this big of a promo for it. A lot of my friends are excited about it. So it's going to be really interesting. I don't know why Scum and Villainy doesn't open up like a pop-up at San Diego. It just feels like you could have a 24-hour, kind of Scum and Villainy pop-up going on nonstop over at San Diego during Comic-Con like that week, and that would be just like the place to be.
I agree with that, because, this year was my first one, and I just remember, of all the different areas, and I feel like they could definitely make a spot, like, for it, and you're right, like, I think there would be a line, um, that would be going all around the block, just to go to it, because people love Star Wars, like, you know, there's no hiding it or anything. People really, really love Star Wars, and any opportunity to find yourself really immersed in it, people will jump on that. So yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think that that would be awesome to have over at San Diego Comic Con. Uh, but yeah, um,
Bring it up to them
and
sometime.
yeah. So for news, yesterday was the 10-year anniversary of Force Awakens. We also have a new trailer for the Mandalorian Grogu, and then the new film Star Wars Starfighter also wrapped up filming, so now they are in post production. Let's talk about Force Awakens and the impact that it had. But before we get into it, we always spend time talking about my son. I know you're not my wife, but I will be asking you some questions as a new father. But Hayden's doing pretty good. We just had a doctor's appointment for him because it was he just turned 7 months yesterday, and our doctor said that he is 3 months advanced than what a normal uh, uh, like an average baby would be doing. So at this stage, a average baby would not be crawling and like pulling himself up and stuff like that. So we were very shocked and excited about that. And he's already trying to walk, but uh I guess my question to you, Ted, is with the lifestyle that you have of traveling, doing cons,
Yeah.
um, how do you find that balance? Because my goal going into next year is to be more organized and finding more of that balance. And I feel like, this year was okay. It could have been a lot better, but I think going into next year, I really want to be more organized with like everything. And you make it look easy. So my question is, how do you do it?
There's probably not no like one right answer, right? I think everybody kind of needs to do what's best for themselves, especially. I know that when I started going to cons and traveling, I realized, like San Diego, for example, my first trip to San Diego was 10 years ago, and I went alone, mostly because I didn't want to put my family through me figuring out like how stuff works. And there's a huge learning curve with San Diego. So imagine you going but not having anybody there to tell you where to
Yeah.
go, what to do, how early to be at things. Like I did all that on my own.
Mhm.
And so the first year I went to San Diego, didn't take my wife and son. And then I also realized like I can't not do this without them next time. So the second year I went, I actually took them, and we made plans where like, let's, I got to go to this panel in the morning, and then we can have lunch somewhere nearby. I can go to this panel in the evening, and then we can have a late dinner. I think there comes a time when I just wanted to always include my family in things, and always to where it's convenient or comfortable for them. Because if you drag them through everything that you and I would experience and go through, it'd be torturous. Like literally, this past July at San Diego, I probably walked maybe 20 miles. I wouldn't ask anybody to do that. I wouldn't ask my worst enemy to do that. I just something I'm willing to do for the cause, for the good
Yeah.
of enjoying my time there. So I think the more I think about it, I want my family to get included in some of those things, where they're comfortable for them, and find things for them to do. So like I'm already planning San Diego next year. I'm already I've already picked out things for my wife and daughter to do while I'm in Hall H, parks that they
That's
can
awesome.
visit, yeah, locations for them to kind of hang out at, and then always just find those times and make those sacrifices, kind of see them afterwards. It's not easy, trust me. Even SpaceCon, the big Texas convention that happens here, I want to
Yeah.
hang out afterwards. I want to go out and do things, but I want to see the family as well and tell them how my day went. My daughter wants to know how my day went. She's 6 now, and so it's once SpaceCon ends, once the convention ends, it's get home time and see if I can still have dinner with them, and then get up the next morning and do it all over again. So you kind of figure out over time you really don't want to. It's almost not as valuable to do everything on your own, to experience it all. You know what I mean? On
Yeah.
your own, and you'll really figure out how to incorporate those family moments and create those special bonds. I'll tell you what, 2016 was the first time I took my son to San Diego, but I think it was 2017 was the first time I took him to Hall H,
Oh
and
wow.
and it was one of my favorite moments ever in life, experiencing like a Marvel panel with my son next to me. Because in my
Yeah.
head, I'm just like, I've never, what he's going through right now, I've never even gotten like 1% of that feeling at that age. And to me, it was just like, you know, you're instilling something powerful. I mean, not everybody kind of feels the same way about being at a Hall H panel or a convention panel, but it truly is a miraculous thing. It's a magical moment. And so me just spending that time with him next to me, it really, like, I was moved emotionally, and I'll never like take that for granted or forget like how I felt in that moment spending that time with my son, knowing we were both getting excited and getting ecstatic about what we were seeing in the trailers and the people on stage and stuff. And it's like you can't replicate that anywhere else. You really can't. And so it was truly a thing that I would love to experience again with my daughter someday, is getting her in a Hall H, and it's something that she'll be interested in. She's probably not going to be as interested in some of the things that I am, but eventually we'll get there.
Yeah. I think that's one of the things I'm most excited about of being a dad is sharing those types of experiences. I've taken my wife and I have taken Hayden to a couple of cons, nothing to the extent of of San Diego, but
Yeah.
um I feel like taking a baby to those types of environments at a very early ages, it's really cool to see things as like, the gears are turning in his head and you're seeing him process stuff. And I'm really excited to, do that with him in the future when like he's able to process things more, like actually fully watch Star Wars for the first time, Marvel for the first time, and all that. And then, down the road, go to San Diego and just all these places. We're taking him to Walt Disney World in January, and people are like, "Why on earth would you take a baby? He's not going to remember it." And it's like, well, yeah, but I I know we will. And him being introduced to those environments at a very early age, I think in a way will kind of help him uh help him process things. And I think it will help his imagination maybe kick in earlier. And my parents would take us as as young kids to Disney too, and just big different events. And I think that definitely helped spark my imagination at a young age. So yeah, I'm with you. I cannot wait to experience those things with my son. So yeah, very very excited about it. And I'm not surprised, but yes, Ted, you are very wise. But yes.
I'll tell you another thing. Like, you're touching on something that I think you really can't put into an equation. Is what are the chances your son, my daughter, whoever else's kid
Yeah.
gets inspired by something they witness or experience for the first time? Every writer I've talked to, every director I've talked to, every actor I've talked to, has been has had that moment of inspiration from watching a film, a concert, a play,
Hmm.
um, something along those lines. Brie Larson, as an example, was inspired by watching the Selena movie back in the early '90s, starring Jennifer Lopez. If she had not seen that movie, maybe another movie would have come along, but it literally was that movie that inspired her to get into entertainment and get into acting. And now she is who she is today.
Yeah.
Every writer I've talked to, every director I've talked to, I love talking to horror directors because I'm like, what was the movie? Every single one of them have a movie, whether it's The Shining or whether it's Poltergeist or whether it's something along those lines. They all have a movie that said, "I want to do stuff like this," and so you gotta take a shot and get your kids to experience things that might seem out of the norm. We love taking our daughter to concerts, and literally she'll be the youngest one in the entire crowd. Like we'll walk around and stuff, and she's just the youngest one, and it's nothing crazy, nothing bonkers of a concert, but it's just her being in that environment, her sort of soaking it in and taking in the atmosphere and witnessing the performers on stage and noticing that there's a singer, but there's also a band, there's also backup dancers. There's so many moving pieces and parts, and whether or not it's what inspired her today, she is a trained dancer now, and she's doing that growing up, and she's
Yeah.
enjoying it, and she's having fun with it. And you don't know if that takes off and keeps going, but it's just you got to take a chance and see kind of what sticks or what really elevates that curiosity and that imagination and takes it to another level.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I love having these conversations because they just make me excited to see Hayden grow up. And I know some people are like, no, like you want him to be this young forever. And it's like, yeah, that, but also I can't wait to, have these experiences with him of taking him different places and stuff. So, um, yeah, thank you so much for the advice, man. Yeah, I
Sure, for
am
sure.
beyond excited. And kind of segueing back to your first time
San
over at
Diego.
San Diego. Yeah. So, were you there when they did the Force Awakens panel? I know we talked about it, but
Okay, so I was there. I was actually in line for Hall H for Saturday
okay.
while the Force Awakens panel was happening. But
Wow, okay.
I was at the front of the line, so we had seen everything. There was like a stormtrooper procession with Vader after the panel had ended. They had gone to the back of Hall H where the bay is, and that's where they had the Star Wars symphony along with fireworks, and so we could hear the music, we could see the fireworks. Like it was pretty spectacular. There's probably not been another panel quite like that one. The only one that might come close is the Deadpool and Wolverine panel where they had this 10,000 drone display occurring
Yeah.
outside with fireworks also, mind you, after their panel had ended. So that's probably the only thing that might come close to it as far as like big spectacle. Um, and I think everybody in that audience also got a lightsaber. So imagine 6,000 people with lightsabers at a John Williams. I think
Yep.
was he orchestrating
I
that
believe it
symphony?
was, yeah.
I think he was. So
Yeah.
6,000 people holding a lightsaber on a gorgeous San Diego night, hearing, his score and fireworks along with the music, like timed meticulously with the music. And it wasn't just like, oh, your normal fireworks. I literally saw stars in the sky exploding, and I literally saw death stars exploding in the sky. Like you would see a globe, and you would see a ring in the center of it. And it's like, how are they doing this stuff? you could you could really do some really cool things with fireworks, I suppose. But yeah, it was really fantastic, and I got some video of it and things like that. So
I love that. Yeah, man, 2015 was just a wild year. Because a couple of years prior, they were like, "Yeah, here's Star Wars now. It's owned by Disney," and you're just like, "Okay, we'll see how this goes." And I remember the teaser trailer that they dropped over at the teaser trailer that they dropped over at San Diego Comic-Con, of where Mark Hamill was like, it's the same, but it's not the same, and that's how you want it to be. And remember that dropped the line, and I was like, huh. I was like, okay, okay. And then we get to uh we get to the release in December, and then it's just absolutely, absolutely insane. I remember I had the opportunity of seeing it a couple of days earlier than the public, and I watched it. I walked out. I was like, okay, Star Wars is back. And just the vibe of people going in when like Ray turned on the lightsaber for the first time, like, because I was working on a movie theater, I would hear certain scenes over and over again. So, for example, I would hear Han like die maybe like 4 or 5 times a day, like in that scene, and then you would just hear like silence or just no, like coming from the theater, and then there would be scenes of where like Ray would turn on the lightsaber for the first time, and she would like, and everyone would just cheer, and um it was just so cool. And because Force Awakens was made, and say what you will, if you don't like the sequels, that's fine. If you love the sequels, that's great too. Um, and I just I I think that was a chain reaction that just started, you know, everything that we love now.
sure.
And without Force Awakens, there would be no Rogue One. There would be no, like, I mean, it's just absolutely insane of where Star Wars is now, and with how many projects there are now, and how much of you want to fully appreciate the canon of Star Wars, and how many projects there has been since 2015, since Force Awakens.
Yeah.
Um, what was your theater experience like?
So I've been looking around my room because I have my ticket, right? We all had that Galaxy premiere ticket.
Yeah.
Mine's framed.
Oh, he's searching.
I really wish I knew where it was, and I could have sworn I saw it the other night. My experience, it was a huge spectacle. They had an entire Star Wars merch booth in our theater. So I'm assuming that happened at a lot of places. So it was literally just a huge merchandise booth set up in the middle of the lobby, and all that we're selling was Star Wars Episode 7's, merchandise. And so got a T-shirt, Kylo Ren, got my framed ticket to the event, and it was a lot of fun. I mean, there was a lot of excitement in the air, and I'll never forget how excited I was, but also there was a bit of confusion on, like, man, I wish they didn't decide to just kind of redo A New Hope as much as they did.
Yeah.
Um, I think they're not doing everything wrong, especially when they, started this whole sequels trilogy. I don't think they did it completely 100% wrong, but I felt like they really needed somebody in the room that was from the old guard of Lucasfilm that could say, like,
Mm.
we should probably come from this angle. We should
Yeah.
probably have a story that kind of does this and has a number of boxes that we check off. because fans need to see these things, like bringing the big three back together again, Han, Luke, and Leia. Like
Yeah.
that's just top of the list. And I know that the it kept being said over and over again, like this is Star Wars for a new generation. And I'm like, okay, well that I believe you, but you're still using the old Star Wars to make for this new generation. If it was 100% a new Star Wars story for a new generation, then you wouldn't need to include all these old things that we know and love. So I felt like there are a couple of things I wouldn't have done. I wouldn't have had the new order. Is that what they're called? It's been so long.
So there was the First Order, and then in
First
Rise
Order.
of Skywalker was the final of the Final Order. Yeah.
I wouldn't have had the First Order already like at their peak. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's probably the biggest leap in reason for me is how the second Death Star was destroyed, and yet 15 or 17, however many years it was later,
Yeah.
um now this First Order is like at their max strength already. They shouldn't have had that opportunity, especially when you had the Republic out here, you had these Jedi's out here. You just would have you would have thought that we would have been able to keep sort of a faction like that at bay after
Yeah.
they had received such a blow. And so that was like the thing that I had the biggest trouble of getting on board with, is how this First Order came to be, how they developed a weapon 10 times deadlier than the last one.
Right.
And um yeah, just kind of all of that. I would have, like, that part of the story was the biggest stretch for me. I would have much preferred that there's a story that we all kind of learn together, not just the characters but also the audience. We're playing catch up in the
Yeah.
audience. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? The story is
Yeah.
already there. The sides are already there. The war is already going on, and we're playing catch up, which is typically the Star Wars MO, right? That's usually how the movies start. We're always playing catch up. We're trying to figure out what's happening, but just because had been so long, because we had wrapped up the Skywalker saga in 6 movies, I just would have felt it would have been easier on the audience to get on board collectively if we were all kind of learning a new story together, as opposed to kind of getting caught up with what the state of the galaxy is. And yeah, it was a very enjoyable movie. Um,
Yeah.
and it did not completely surpass my expectations, and I wish it had. But then we know how it kind of goes from there. Like, if you weren't on board with 7, you really weren't on board with 8, and then 9 was just,
Yeah.
they were kind of just throwing everything in there in the kitchen sink with 9. So that's just kind of where I was with 7. Enjoyed it. Was not thrilled by it. And looking back on it, I just, a lot of decisions and changes that I wish kind of went a different way.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's completely fair. Uh, I and I didn't feel like that with Force Awakens. I felt more like that with The Last Jedi. And it's not that I hate The Last Jedi. I just think there were some plot holes in it that I think that when you watch these films and something in there that just kind of takes you out of it, where it's just like, wait, that isn't, did they just do that? And then that's what you're thinking about for the rest of the movie. With Force Awakens, I think it was more of, there were some things that they did kind of repeat, you know, them doing the trench run,
Yeah.
again, like in A New Hope, them starting off on a sand planet. Um, uh, and, there's a quote from George Lucas which goes, you know, it's beautiful because it rhymes. And I get where they were coming from, but I I mean, I think they wanted to kind of hook people in, and I think with the whole thing with like Snoke and like all that stuff, that was like, oh, okay, like could it be Darth Plagueis? Could it be this? Could it be that? And we never got Darth Plagueis live action you know until Acolyte, which was
Acolyte.
years later. So, overall, I thought the movie was a good launch. I think after that is when w- I think the other thing too is all the films not being made by the same director. That kind of made it a tiny bit rough because Ryan Johnson had a different view than what Colin
Trevorrow.
Trevorrow had, and then what J.J. Abrams had, and then you kind of felt like Rise of Skywalker was kind of a direct sequel to what they did in Force Awakens because J.J. Abrams directed it, and they kind of had to backtrack on certain things that happened in the Last Jedi.
Yeah.
So it. I enjoyed the film. It was a strong start, but I feel like I would feel a lot different today if we did get the original Duel of Fates film made by Colin. Um, because that script was absolutely phenomenal. So,
Yeah.
absolutely insane.
It's
Um,
it's it's funny
yeah,
how these movies, even though it's been 10 years and it's been, I guess, 8 years since Last Jedi. Is that right? 8 years since Last Jedi.
yes, yes,
It's funny how they're still coming up in the news. Mark Hamill said, I think
yeah,
this week or last week, if you could OD on the Force, Yoda and Obi-Wan would have told Luke all of that,
yeah,
beforehand. So
yeah,
he's still making little jokes. He's
yeah,
not completely out there bashing it, but it's still coming up. And then I know Johnson, who was in the news recently because his trilogy is officially shelved. And I feel for the guy because he is a solid storyteller. He really is. He is the Spielberg type. He is that kind of a director where they can just go out and make a great movie.
yeah,
It's different, I feel like, when you are dealing with a massive IP, and one like Star Wars just needs to be handled slightly different. So you can be somewhat bold in your decisions and what you're writing and the story you want to tell, but there's a line you probably can't cross and be too bold with
yeah,
something. You really cannot try and dissect a theme or a thematic plot, or try and like completely switch the script on lore when it comes to a fan base that's been around for almost 60 years, right?
right,
So yeah, so he's a fantastic storyteller. I know he's capable of doing so much. His Knives Out trilogy is an example of what he's capable of. Um, but you can't be too bold with things that have this much foundation
yes.
um on
I
it.
think one of the right because I think one of the best ways to say it, and I've said this before as well, is if with Star Wars there is a defined blueprint of what Star Wars is, and if you put one brick where it's not supposed to be, like it's gonna be a completely different it will be a completely different structure. And that's what The Last Jedi was, because there were Star Wars elements, but it didn't feel like a traditional Star Wars movie. And there's nothing wrong with because if you go to Solo or Rogue One, there's no opening crawl. And some fans were just like, "Oh my gosh, like there's no opening crawl." And it was like, "That's okay." And Rogue One, great movie. Solo, great movie. Um, with the Last Jedi, it just didn't have the Star Wars feeling. And it's funny because I remember, um, after watching the Last Jedi and then going in to see the new of the first Knives Out, it was just like, wait, like whoa, like this was made by Ryan Johnson. Like this is absolutely insane. This is a really, really good movie. So, I think the other thing too is that, everyone has a different perspective on what Star Wars is and what Star Wars means to them. And Ryan Johnson, uh, is a huge fan. And again, if you don't like the sequels, that's totally fine. That's
Totally fine.
100% fine. But I think around that time too, it really divided the fan base, and I don't think it needed to do that. I think that um that I think that film and then Acolyte were like the big things that like kind of divided the fan base in a way when it didn't need to be. Like I think people are absolutely allowed to have their own opinions, but there were certain moments in the fan base where I feel like, people were they were bullying the actress who played Rose. They were and it wasn't necessary. But
Right.
I know we're I know we're going slightly off track. But but yeah, I think Force Awakens definitely had a good structure, and I think that the way that it left compared to where it went forward, I think if things slightly were different in Force Awakens and maybe not leaving not leading to where we went in the Last Jedi, and because I'm not sure if you've seen the concept art or anything like that, but at one point there was Rey, she was swimming underwater to where we saw the old Death Star, and we later saw something similar to that in Rise of Skywalker. But
Yeah.
um uh I think overall, I think, for how far we've come from Force Awakens, I think it's absolutely insane, in a great way, because what the Mandalorian is trying to do, and I think they're doing a pretty solid job, is they are trying to answer some of those plot hole questions um, that we had about the sequels. Um, b- because they are talking about the cloning process. We actually saw a small hint of Snoke in season 2 of The Mandalorian, and we have seen the Praetorian Guard. So we are slowly getting there. And we saw General Hux's father in the we saw him in season 3 of The Mandalorian. So it's just like we are getting there slowly but surely. And that's something that John Favreau wanted to do, is like he wanted to have the Mandoverse and everything lead up to the sequels and maybe answer some of the questions that weren't answered in the sequels. And I think that that's kind of the beauty of it. And then we've had a couple of the games that have had some different answers that maybe we had about the sequels in the games. And so yeah, no, I will never get over the hype of Force Awakens. It was absolutely insane.
Yeah.
um yeah. uh so do you want to talk about SpaceCon really quick,
Oh,
while I go grab Hayden, because he's just waking up. So I'm just gonna grab him, and I'm gonna put him on my shoulders, and then we'll continue talking. But yeah.
go for it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna bring up SpaceCon right now. So if you are in the San Antonio, South Texas area, you might have heard about this before, but in case you haven't, this is one of the largest, if not the largest, Star Wars and Star Trek or just like space movie themed conventions in the country. And we've been working with these promoters for close to 5 years now. And so we've been able to, we've been fortunate enough to watch it grow and grow over the years. And they've had a slew of fantastic A-listers in the past, and now they're bringing back some of our favorites. So this is their third event of SpaceCon. It's taking place June 12th through the 14th in 2026. Again, it's in San Antonio, Texas, and the big draw for this event is that they're having they're having the Emperor and his apprentice, Ian McDiarmid and Hayden Christensen, are going to be in attendance at this year's next year's SpaceCon event. Um, Ian actually attended this past SpaceCon in October. So the fact that he's coming back again is just like almost close to a miracle, as much of a miracle as you can find. We did not think we were going to get an opportunity to get a second chance at seeing the Emperor in person. And when Ian was here in October, I had a chance to host his panel. He was lovely. He was brilliant. He was charming. He was funny. He was absolutely perfect. And so the fans got a kick out of him. And now he's going to be attending again next year with Hayden. Hayden's making his second year attending. The second year, is that right? Yeah, this will be his second year attending. And the first time he was here, I believe it was only 2 days that he was in attendance at the con. Next year in 2026 in June, he's going to be here all 3 days. So that's even more of an opportunity to meet the chosen one in person, to get his autograph, to get a photo op with him. There's already a photo op currently with Ian and Hayden together, and so that's probably one of the most highly sought after professional photo ops you can get at any convention with the Emperor and Anakin Skywalker. If you go to spaceconsa.com, right now they have a promo code. So you can actually get, I believe, 20% off using the promo code SPACE20. That's either for a VIP pass or I believe it's a VIP Kids Pass. You just do not want to miss out at this event. Oh, and also just so happened to have Alan Richardson and Famke Johnson on the bill announced as well. And
Oh, nice.
if you are a Star Wars fan, I assuming that everybody is who's watching this, because why would you not if you're watching this? There is a third Star Wars A-lister that has been teased. And the
Okay.
only thing that's been said is that it is someone who has never been to a convention in Texas before. Now, I don't know if that means not at a convention in the rest of the US, or if it's just specifically focused on Texas, because we've had a lot of A-listers come to Texas before. We've had Rosario Dawson, we've had Ewan
Yeah.
McGregor. So for there to be another individual out there at that level who's never been at a convention like this one, that's a very short list. And now you're thinking about names like Harrison Ford and Samuel L. Jackson. Like, that's a very, very short list of individuals that could possibly be a part of the event. So hopefully, fingers crossed, things work out and that we get that announcement here fairly soon, and we'll all know who they're talking about. But if you've ever thought about going to a very well organized event in another city or another state, SpaceCon San Antonio, come check us out. We have a booth. We're giving away thousands of dollars worth of prizes every day, and we just have a blast. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've only been to one, but I've heard nothing but great things from you and our friend David as well about it. So my plan is to go to this next one. Um, and then not only that, in September of next year, it's going to be Rebel ScumCon as well, and their like just list of people is it's racking up there for being more insane. So I can't wait to head over for that one too. But yeah, I would say just next year in general for cons is going to be absolutely insane. Yeah.
Absolutely
Um,
crazy.
yeah. Uh, so for the other news, Starfighter has wrapped up filming and they are now in post production. They've got a really great cast. They've got They have Amy Adams. They have the actor who's playing the new John Stewart and the Green Lantern TV show. They got Matt Smith. Like, they have Ryan Gosling. They have a huge lineup, like huge lineup. So, um, are you excited about the movie?
Oh, I've talked about this at length with our other friends on their show. I'm very excited for this one. Probably more than any of the other announced films that we're getting. More than the Mandalorian and Grogu, probably more than Daisy's new film that's still in development. This is one that is brought together a very talented crew. Sean Levy, who
Yep.
is just one of those directors who doesn't miss. Like if you're not in love with his work, great, that's fine. But he never puts out anything either subpar or sub quality, or doesn't have every single moment and scene and everything else just executed to a T. Like his films are such high quality that he does not miss. And so Sean being the director involved has already like got me on board. But then come to find out later on, I realized that the writer for this film is Jonathan Tropper. And Jonathan
Hmm.
Tropper is probably not a huge name out there, but Jonathan Tropper has written for two of my favorite all time action shows ever. One of them is Banshee, which just kind of had a renaissance on HBO Max like last year. Banshee starred Anthony Starr, who we all know as Homelander. Before
Yep.
he was Homelander, Anthony Starr was on this show called Banshee. And
Yep.
Banshee is like this really gritty sort of southern or
Yeah, I just
Midwest.
watched it for the first time last year. Yeah.
It's got this sex appeal to it. It's got this attitude about it. Everybody on the show like plays their parts so well. It's really engaging and solid. And so yeah, so Jonathan's wrote Banshee, and then Jonathan also wrote the greatest martial arts series of all time, Warrior. Warrior was on HBO Max as well for 3 seasons. Canceled, unfortunately, before its time. It starred Andrew Koji. It starred Joe Taslim. Um, it had just the best martial arts scenes ever in television show history. And so Jonathan Tropper is a writer for two of my favorite all-time action shows, and that's why I'm fully on board with Starfighter, and I cannot wait to see what him and Sean put together.
Yeah, dude, I can't wait either. And I mean, I love how he is advertising it as it is it's not a prequel, it's not a sequel. It's its own thing taking place in the Star Wars universe. And I think that is going to be super cool to see. And I mean, who knows? Like, we might get like a small like reference or cameo from like someone that we know, but um, of just taking place in the Star Wars universe about ships and all that stuff. And I mean, I can't wait to see the new droids. And we know it takes place after the sequel trilogy, so it is going to be very cool to you know have that new feel to it. So I'm very excited for it, and that comes out in 2027 as well. So yeah, I was gonna say that's gonna be awesome to see. Probably we'll get some type of trailer. I mean, you don't think that they would be at San Diego Comic Con, right?
That's a very good question. Its release date is May 28th, 2027.
Yeah.
I would say if they want to do it right, maybe we get a teaser for the Super Bowl, right?
Oh,
Put together a teaser for the Super Bowl this year. Very short, 30 seconds or less.
I would love that.
Whatever's finished, that'd be a cool thing. Or just,
Yeah.
Gosling in a flight suit is probably all we really need to get excited for it.
Yeah.
I think San Diego this year, it's doable for sure. To have a trailer involved by that point in time, yeah, I think they could really pull it off by then.
Yeah, yeah, I think so too. So yeah, it's just a matter of time, and
If
we'll
not,
see in
definitely
a
by
couple.
New York Comic Con, which is like September, October
Yeah,
usually. So
yeah,
for sure, they should probably have something really solid for that one.
absolutely. And then speaking of films, we right in front of Avatar, Fire and Ash. I mean, there's some trailer for some movie called Avengers Doomsday. It's just like, it's whatever. No, I'm just kidding. Super, super excited for that. That was super cool to see. But there is a kind of new trailer for The Mandalorian and Grogu, and the reason why I say kind of because it is the same trailer that they
Yeah,
did release to the public about 2 months ago, but they added three new scenes to it. And I just wanted to kind of like break those down super quick. Because
for
the
sure.
opening scene is Mando is kind of prepping Grogu for battle,
Yeah,
and it's just so it was cool but kind of funny to like see him talk to Grogu like he was like his son, but also like his kind of soldier in a way of being like, hey, don't wear the armor too tight because if you do, you like won't have that free flowing battle. And it was like, oh, okay, cool. And it just shows you like um it shows how far that died of the dynamic of the two of them have come since we first saw them. And then we have another scene of where Grogu uses his flamethrower on a couple of snowtroopers, which is very very reminiscent of what we saw in of the footage shown over at Star Wars Celebration in Japan of this year. And then the final shot, which got me very excited, is you, you after the title card, they show like a big gladiator fight scene in this giant arena, and Din is fighting a bunch of these alien creatures. Now, these alien creatures are the aliens from the Dejeric board that
right.
you see in A New Hope when Han plays against when he plays against R2D2 and C3PO. So it was really cool to, see a small glimpse of that. And I really hope Phil Tippett, aka the father of Max Rebo, had a huge involvement in that because he came up with the alien creatures, and then he also did the stop motion for that scene, and then actually for Force Awakens when the game, you know, when the game picks up again, he did that stop motion for Force Awakens too. So hopefully Phil Tippett had some involvement with bringing the actual aliens to life in that because you know it's it's so cool when like small Easter eggs like that like end up becoming part of the plot. So I can't wait to see more of that.
Yeah, it's funny that they brought those and incorporated the game because I know I saw Monarch, Kenton Strider, um, and
Yes.
I'm wondering if there's gonna be like a little inside joke about always let the Wookiees win or something like that.
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah, it's exciting and I like you mentioned there wasn't a lot of new stuff incorporated into this trailer. So I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. It could be a thing where like Marvel does where Marvel doesn't want to kind of reveal too much. And so they're really kind of keeping their playing or keeping their cards close to the chest. But with Lucasfilm, I'm kind of weary about them not showing too much. I mean, showing AT-ATs being destroyed and falling off of mountainsides is kind of cool already in itself.
Oh, absolutely.
So I that's probably what their thought process is just not giving away more than that for the time being. I will say though, I did see Avatar: Fire and Ash in IMAX, and so the countdown. It was funny because I wasn't paying attention. IMAX does the same sort of intro right before the movie starts. It's always the same, never changes. So I'm on my phone because I've seen this intro video fifty
Yeah.
thousand times. And then I heard something different, and so I looked up, and the entire IMAX intro video is now Mando and Grogu themed.
Oh, that's
And
awesome.
so all the numbers, because it's a countdown from 5. It's like 5, but the 5 is like something else, and 4 is like part of the theme of the movie, and 3 is like one of their shields or something like that. Like it's all
Yeah,
Mando and Grogu themed. It was really cool
I
and
love that.
intricate, and so yeah, I really dug it.
Yeah, that film is. I mean, it's crazy because we haven't had an actual like live action Star Wars movie in the theater. And now I'm talking like a new Star Wars live action movie in the theater since 2019, which is crazy to think about.
That's wild.
So I'm glad that we are going back to the theater. And Also at one point in the battle, and there has been like a new action figure. It's a Black Series of Mando, but you actually see it in this small like clip in the trailer. Is that he's got like a gladiator sword? Like I'm talking about like an actual sword. So I'm very excited to see, these different gladiator weapons, and I know so many people that like do different props and stuff like that. So I can't
Yeah.
wait to people be like, I'm gonna 3D print this, I'm gonna resin print that. So yeah, um, super exciting. But yeah, um, yeah, I cannot wait till the movie comes out. That's really it for the news. For the news this week. Uh, do you have any upcoming things for you and for Countdown? I mean, I know some of them, but I want you to talk about it.
I gotcha. Nothing major on the way. We just launched a giveaway if you're in the San Antonio or the Houston area for Greenland 2 Migration, starring Gerard Butler and Morena Baccarin. If you want to find out how you can win a pair of passes to the advanced screening of Greenland 2, going over to our Facebook page at Countdown City Geeks. And yeah, just kind of wrapping up the year. We'll be probably posting some more events coming up here pretty soon, and then just start planning for the craziness it's going to be 2026, because there's so many things going on next year, and we're already getting ramped up and ready to go. So yeah, lots on the way.
Yeah, I 100% agree. It's gonna be absolutely insane. I cannot wait for it. Uh, for 2026, I just feel like there's just gonna be so many exciting opportunities, so many adventures. Um, yeah, and just of for this year alone has been one of the greatest and craziest years of my life. You are one reason for that, Ted. So thank you.
Appreciate
But
it.
yeah, man. 2026, bring it on, bring it on.
Wildness.
Yeah. From myself and Ted, you can find Ted over at Countdown City Geeks. They are an amazing group full of nerds and just um, just amazing human beings. But yeah, so go and check them out. You can find them on social on Twitter /X, Instagram, all of it, on YouTube and everything. They do great celebrity interviews as well. But yeah, and then go follow us at Life at Lightspeed Podcast on all social media, Instagram, and Facebook as well. And then please go follow the Virtual Cantina Network. Exclusive we have exclusive interview clips coming up as well that we'll be posting, and we have a lot of great events that are happening next year. So yeah, there you go.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Do you have any words of wisdom before we sign off?
Oh man. Happy holidays. Don't eat yellow snow, and may the force be with you.
Forever and always.